When you look at this schedule, week 1, we mentioned how that's an exciting game against the Texans, knowing what happened in the playoffs between them. What else do we like here? Schlereth, you go first.
Well, I mean, I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously you look at how you start. And I think the continuity on the offensive side of the ball, one thing that everybody has tried to match here in the AFC West is speed. Because when you watch Kansas City, they just run by you all the time. And everybody thinks that it's speed that wins them football games. They're like, wow, we got to match the speed of Tyreek Hill, and we got to match the speed of McCole Hardman, and we got to match the speed of Robinson, and we got to match the speed of Kelsey. And that's what we have to do. And so everybody drafts that way. What really sets the Kansas City Chiefs apart is they have 2 bookend tackles in Fisher and Schwartz that they get, you watch them consistently get 4 or 5 guys out of the pattern every single time. And they don't break down. When they do occasionally break down, they will, because everybody will. Then Mahomes becomes a unicorn and, makes people miss and throws 156 yards for a touchdown. They are remarkable. But really, to me, what sets them apart is they can hold up on both edges and they can get 4 or 5 guys out in the pattern. I don't care who you are. You ain't covering anybody for 4 seconds in this league. Sorry, especially with the speed they have. So I just don't know, as I look early in this schedule, Houston, the Chargers, Baltimore, New England, the Raiders, Buffalo, who matches up with the speed of the Chiefs when they can hold up on both edges? I think the Chargers actually match up as well as anybody with them because they've got the 2 bookends in Bosa and Ingram that can really play. But I just don't think anybody really matches up well with them because of the talent they have and especially because of their ability to block on the edge.
Colin, you see any team that can do?
I don't mean to sound like a meteorologist, but the first thing I look at, they go to Tampa week 12 and Miami week 14. It is brutal for a Midwest team to have to go to Florida in September. They get both those games. It's 65 degrees in Florida. So I think scheduling break. And then I look at them at Buffalo, at Denver, at Baltimore. Those can be brutal games, November and December cold. They get them early in the season. So they actually get some weather breaks. When I have a quarterback in an offense that throws the deep ball, I don't want to be thrown in windy, cold weather. I don't want to play Buffalo in November. They don't. They get Buffalo in mid-October. That's a break to me. I also don't, I know that sounds like your local weather person, but I look at it and I think to myself, they got some weather breaks. They really did.
Yeah, I look at exactly the opposite. Like, I would rather go to Miami as a player in September because I've already acclimated myself to the heat. In December, I'm fat. I am out of shape. I have not worked very hard. Those are what I call goal bond games. You got to put some goal bond on your bits and pieces. Otherwise, you're going to chafe up when you go out to the heat and you're a big fat offensive lineman. I hated going to Miami or Tampa in December. It was the worst. I'd much rather go in September. So for me as a player, I don't look at those as breaks. I look at those as miserable because of the humidity and I'm out of shape.
This segment brought to you by Gold Bond.
Yes.
Andy Reid agrees with you, though, Colin. He had comments once the schedule came out, and he said he actually looked at the same thing. I know Steve Poole is an idol of yours from the Seattle area, the local weatherman who we have a great affinity for. But Andy Reid said he liked that he was getting Buffalo early before it got too cold, and he liked that he was getting the Florida teams later. So,
I mean, they're a great offensive team. They're a vertical passing game. When you throw the ball like that, it's different if I was the 49ers and I can do a lot of move the pocket, pound it with my tackles and my Pro Bowl fullback, my precision passing, but they throw the ball down the field. And I just look at those cold weather games in Denver and Baltimore and Buffalo. I'd rather play in September, early October, where I got a chance to be 58, 60 degrees than 12 and windy and storms. So I think it's a little bit of a break. Again, I don't think it matters for all teams, but a vertical passing team like Kansas City, I do.
Well, you see there on the top 5 Chiefs games, they get the Ravens in week 3. So that's one worth highlighting. Turning our attention now to the Baltimore Ravens. Disappointing year for them. Of course, everyone had high expectations to even go all the way. They didn't. So they're going to try to correct that this year. Schlereth, what games stand out on the Ravens schedule to you?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got Kansas City early. That's going to be a tough game with the Chiefs there. Philadelphia, I think they're going to be great. Week 6 there. Pittsburgh, that matchup in week 7 and week 12. So, those are the ones. I think the thing that's unique about Baltimore, for anybody's playing Baltimore, is this is a league that predicates itself on about 12 to 13 possessions with the way the teams throw the ball. When you play Baltimore, you roll in there knowing the way they run the football and that offense, that unique offense, you're going to get 8 chances with the football. You're only getting 8 possessions. And so if you drop by even 7 points or 6 points, it feels like you're down by 15 when you're playing Baltimore. And what ends up happening is you end up falling into their trap because their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, has never met a zero blitz that he didn't like to bring. If you got 6, he's bringing 7. That's what he does. And so they really are a tough team. You get behind by 3, it feels like you're behind by 10. And coordinators start throwing the football, and that's exactly what they want you to do because of their aggressiveness. So they're a unique matchup for every team on this schedule.
And let's not forget their addition of Calais Campbell this offseason as well. So that's not something his opponents want to see. Colin, when you look at this, is there one game that stands out before we move on?
Well, what I see is Baltimore gets Cleveland in Baltimore, Cincinnati in Baltimore, and Pittsburgh in Baltimore, and then a bye. They're going to be 3-0 in division heading into the bye. They got to face all those teams on the road early, but I see a team that Philadelphia, Kansas City games are tough. But I think in division, I think it's going to be everybody's going to be looking up at the Ravens all year long, and they get the Browns at home early. Boy, that's tough for a new staff. I like Cleveland, but that's tough. Well, Joe Burrow, a month later, he's got to go to Baltimore. And then Pittsburgh, week 7, they got to go to Baltimore. Then I think they're going to be 3-0 in those games. Boom, get a bye. Then the schedule gets tougher, and there's some real tough road games. Those teams in division are on the road. And it could be really bad weather in Cincinnati, at Cleveland, at Pittsburgh. But I like Baltimore's first half of the season to the bye. I like their schedule a lot.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.